Tonight on the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror, Andrea has some problems. It seems that acquaintances of his are being killed one by one. Even more of a problem, it looks like the killer is trying to frame him. Tonight's movie, The Fifth Chord.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror! The Year of Infamy! Episode number 27! 27, you know what that means. This is the final five. The final five episodes. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And we have a treat for you all. Tonight we are going back to the tried and true Italian Giallo film. And one that I think definitely gets some recognition. Some of the Giallos that I watch maybe a little more obscure than others. But this one is a classic. And that is the movie The Fifth Chord. The Fifth Chord, look at that. It's part of a 3-pack that I got as a gift. Thank you very much. Very appreciated. Which comes with The Fifth Chord. The forbidden photos of a lady above suspicion. You just gotta love the names that they have on there. And, of course, the pajama girl case. Anyways, so, what is The Fifth Chord about? Well, it starts off with a recording. Yes, a recording of the killer. They have decided that it is time to murk, and murk they will. However, they want to make sure that they get it right and that they feel the life draining from their victim. And then we cut to a New Year's party where we are basically introduced to most of the main players. You have Andrea, who is the main protagonist. He is a reporter. He is also a drunk. He's there and he greets some friends and acquaintances that are also at the party. Dr. Richard and his wife, his disabled wife. She has to get around with wheelchair and those arm things, whatever, and she doesn't look too happy, and he seems to be not too happy either. Anyways, then you have the Sophia, which is his love interest. They apparently had a relationship before, but now she's married, has a kid, but she wants to divorce the husband who's estranged. And then you have John, who is an Australian national who is teaching, I think he's teaching English as a second language in an Italian university or college or whatever. And he is there at the party looking on at two people in love. Yes, there is, oh God, what is his name? Anyways, he's another teacher. I think he's like a French teacher or something. He is another teacher at the college university, and there is this woman who is a daughter of a businessman. Basically, she comes from money, and he jealously looks on at them dancing. They announce that they're going to be engaged, I guess that they are engaged and that they're going to be married, and he's just like, no, but I love, unrequited love. And also, having to know that the person you love is marrying somebody else. I feel you, man. I feel you, because I've been through that. But anyways, so he's like, I can't stay. I'm feeling sick. It's making me ill. I gotta leave. So he leaves the party, and on his way home, he passes a couple that are making out, and we later find out that she's a prostitute, and the guy's a John. Anyways, she's kind of creeped out by the settings, and to go home, he's got to walk through this dark tunnel. And as he's walking through this dark tunnel, a strange man comes out. Well, I don't know if it's a man. Strange person comes out and starts attacking him. But before he could really finish him off, the couple that were being very amorous happen about. And the guy's like, hey, what you doing? Chases him away. And, of course, the woman's like, okay, I got to check on you. And a glove is left behind at the scene of the crime. And so now Andrea is tasked with a report, basically getting the story on the guy who's been attacked in the tunnel at night, because it's kind of salacious. However, this leads to a much deeper situation, because all of a sudden we get a series of murders that occur that are all happening to people that we were introduced to at that party. And as things progress, people start dying that are connected to Andrea, making him look like maybe he might be guilty. And so, of course, Andrea has to put the pieces together and figure out who the killer is before the killer can strike again, and also before the cops basically say, you know what, we got enough evidence against you. It's time for you to go to jail. So the movie twists and turns, and let's get to those scores, shall we? Violence and gore, I am going to give this a 1 out of 5. The kills are kind of underwhelming. They're not very bloody. One's kind of like a heart attack. Another one is actually done off screen. However, there are some physical fighting and things going on right there. So there's that. But really, the movie isn't about the sensational, over-the-top kills or the brutal violence. We're going to get into that a little bit later, but 1 out of 5 violence and gore. Shock value, I'm going to go to 2 out of 5. There are some moments in here that I go, whoa, really? That kind of work. There's also, once again, a subject matter situation which can shock you. So I'm going to give it a generous 2 out of 5. Moving on to plot, and this is where the movie stands out. This is where the movie shines, and that is going to be a 4 out of 5. This movie is a giallo that makes sense, and as a friend once told me, if it makes sense, it's not a giallo. But whatever it is, the plot is it's hard to describe. And that's why I was kind of being vague about my synopsis, because I didn't want to kind of like give away too much. But at the end, when you watch it, you're just kind of like, huh. And you're like, okay. But then when you really think about the movie, and you think about the stuff that goes on in the scenes, and some of the scenes where you're like going, okay, that's a weird choice for that scene. The movie really subtly tells you that everything is for this purpose of the reveal at the end, and that the plot does a good job of giving you clues, but also does a good job of tricking you, of basically misdirection. Things you think are important might not be important. Things that you don't think are important may be really important. And the thing is, the evidence is there, and it puts it together in a way, a satisfying conclusion. Even though at the end you might be sort of like, wait a second. But as I continued to think about it and digest this movie, I realized that this is a movie that, because of its subtlety, a lot like Deep Red, is that when you see it another time, a couple more times, knowing what you know, you can see where it's going. Yeah, okay, it's doing that. I'm like, okay, that's important. You know, that thing that happened that I thought was, okay, whatever, really is an essential piece to the puzzle. And the way it weaves and does the killings and whatnot definitely has a logical flow to it, and it is very, very satisfying. Yes, there is a bit of some convolutedness going on there. That's why I'm not giving it a 5 out of 5. There are some jumps, some logical leaps that you have to do, but overall, it is an exciting and surprising 4 out of 5. And I dare say, kind of brilliant. It ties itself up in a nice bow, especially when you stop to think about what's going on and how it got there. And so it's not one of those movies where you can just shut off and watch it. You're going to have to be active and you're going to have to be thinking, but you can't trust everything, though, because there's misdirection in this movie. It's not like it's lying to you. It's just, like I said, it manipulates you into thinking one way or another because it knows its audience. It knows how people kind of, think, and it sort of subverts that and makes you your own enemy when it comes to trying to figure things out. So I thought, pretty dang good. So 4 out of 5. Moving on to acting, this is also a 4 out of 5. Like the guy who plays Andrea, who, I don't know if they got his name. Oh, yes, Franco Nero is spectacular. He is great. I mean, he's got screen presence. His delivery is wonderful. Even though it's probably overdubbed, it just like, he commands your attention. When he's on screen, you are paying attention to him. And he just knocks it out of the ballpark. Also, like the other characters, Sophia, John, the French guy. Sorry, I'm so horrible with names. Anyways, they all do a pretty darn good job. There's actually Andrea's girlfriend. Yes, he's got a girlfriend, even though he's after Sophia, whose name is Lou. She does a wonderfully spectacular performance, which is something that you don't necessarily get, especially for sort of like side characters. But she does a great job. There are a certain, some of the more ancillary characters, they're a little okay, whatever. But overall, I think this is very well acted. So I'm giving it a solid 4 out of 5. Moving on to Nudity. Nudity is a 2 out of 5. There's some very brief scenes. There is a somewhat... I don't know if I would say extended love scene, but there is a love scene in there that takes up a little bit of time. But for the most part, it's a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. And so it's not very salacious. It's definitely not as sleazy as some other giallos can be. So, it's a movie that doesn't have... graphic violence or shocking, brutal kills, and it doesn't have very sleazy every 5-minute nudity stuff. It's like, what in the world? And I love this movie. How is that possible? I don't know. Anyway, so it's a 2 out of 5. So moving on to enjoyment factor, I am going to give this a 4 out of 5. It is definitely, I think, in the top 10 of all giallos, maybe even pressing into the top 5. It is really good. I highly recommend watching it, especially if you like giallos. It's not very horror-like, even though there's a great scene where the killer is stalking their victim, and you see their disembodied hands ready to strangle, but everything else is dark. So like I said, it's like their hands are disembodied and they're just floating in the darkness. And it is just a really spectacularly awesome scene. There's also a scene where the killer's stalking someone with a knife, and you're sort of like, almost like first-person shooter, where the knife is like right there in the middle. You just see the blade. You don't even see the hand. You just see the blade, and you're following the blade as if the blade is moving around, and the blade is actually the killer. And I'm just, things like that, I think, were spectacular. It's a giallo that hits pretty much all the giallo themes. You got the dark, I guess you would say, black trench coat, wearing face obscured, glove wielding maniac killer. You've got the person investigating, but it's also suspected in the murders. You've got the lovely women. You've got the twisting plot. It hits all the themes. I'd give it a 5 out of 5, but I'm a greedy bastard because I really, really, really wish that there was more spectacle to the murders, and maybe just a little more of the lovely ladies, especially the girl who plays Lou. Holy shit, she is hot. Anyways, but there's also a couple other kind of nitpicky issues I have with this movie that I'll discuss in my overall impression. But holy cow, enjoyed it. It's a very, very fun watch. I mean, fun for me. It flows rather quickly. It doesn't seem to meander too much. I mean, there may be a little down times here and there, but overall, it's very interesting and engaging. And the plot and the ending are just great, and I dare I say brilliant. So 4 out of 5 for my enjoyment factor, which leads to my overall impression, which is also a 4 out of 5. The biggest problem with this movie, technically, is the whole, it's so beautifully shot. There are some great shots, some great composition in this movie. Like the sort of, there's like this sex scene with a bunch of people who are paying this couple to have sex so they can watch them because they're, pervy. And it starts out with this silhouette. It's just white on black, and it's really, really beautifully done. I also talked about the knife and the hands. There's several other scenes where they play with light and shadow. However, when it comes to the outdoor scenes that are supposed to be happening at night, they use the day for night filming technique, which, if you don't know, it's basically you're shooting during the day, but you're adding like a blue filter. You're toning down the brightness so that it kind of creates this sort of more like a Twilight type of look, like not when things are supposed to be happening, like after midnight, because that's what you kind of get the impression that they're supposed to be happening at midnight, but it more looks like a sort of dusk type of effect, where it's still super bright. It was like, how can you not see these people walking around? It's, it feels like it's still bright enough and you can see everything. And I don't know why they do the night for day when, yes, you can effectively still do night shots, but maybe because of scheduling issues, maybe the outside locations, they weren't allowed to shoot after a certain time. I don't know. Maybe it was budgetary. I do not know. But it does detract a bit from the movie. And, every time I do see kind of a night for day shot, it's just like, okay, yeah. And unfortunately, like, there's some movies that do it like once or twice and it's fine, but this movie does it several times, and it just kind of breaks the illusion for a moment. But it's like, you know what, I gotta be forgiving them. It's an older movie. Some things can be tough. So, anyways, there you have it. My overall impression, 4 out of 5. It's just, some minor things. Nothing totally game-breaking. So, that is 4 out of 5 from my overall impression. And that averages out to a very, very respectable 3 out of 5 average. That's it's a good movie when you hit that average. It either is full of luscious, gooey goodness, which is violence and nudity, or it's just got a spectacular story. And look, it's a movie that doesn't need to rely on that stuff. And as I said, it's not as like horror based. And that's one of the things about Giallo, is that Giallo it spreads itself along the lines of many different genres. I mean, you got slasher elements with crime and thriller and suspense and mystery, and it just kind of hits like a lot of those bases. And yeah, this one, not, like Deep Red was like one of those movies, and that's why it's the best Giallo, is that it has the great story, the great acting, the great plot, plus the spectacular cinematography, but it also has the spectacle kills in it. And so, I mean, like, this is so close to being, like, to me, like one of the perfect Giallos, because it just needed to like dwell on those kills a little bit. You know, when your opening is talking about the guy wanting to feel the life draining from his victims, you would be thinking that, this movie, the guy's gonna like, savor his kills and things like that, and they're rather quick and over with. But that is what it is. But other than that, it's still a spectacular film. So there you have it, The Fifth Chord. So tell me what you all think in the comment section below. Have you seen The Fifth Chord? Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? I mean, it's just... this movie really got to me. It made me really think like about the movie and how it put itself together. So it's wonderful when a movie can do something like that, where you're not thinking about how horribly put together it is, but how wonderfully put together it is. Especially when it sort of hits you off guard and you're probably like, wait, what? And then you're like, oh man, actually spectacular. So there you have it now. So thank you again for watching another episode of the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror. And don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, ring the notification bell, yada yada, YouTube stuff, whatever. None of it matters. And yes, I will leave it there until the next time when I see you for the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror. Only 4 more episodes now. Right now, only 4 more episodes to go before we reach the height of Halloween demonification. Yes, I was thinking demonetized for some stupid reason. Anyways, and so remember, internet, to stay scary, and remember, you should have a special code when you're leaving for a trip and you're putting like a caretaker in charge of your child so that, he's not left alone, that he can be safe, that you can make sure all the doors and whatnot are locked, so that some random person can't just call and say, oh yeah, pick her up. You got to pick up mom from the airport. Something went wrong. You need to have like some sort of special code. Like if it's not her specifically saying it, if it's somebody else, if it's a secondary person, there should be like, I don't know, some agreed upon code to make sure that it's just some rando trying to get you out of the house so that they can kill the kid. I'm just saying. You might want to think about that. Okay? Well, I mean, nowadays, cell phones and all that stuff is probably really easy to get a hold of the mother. But, yeah, I'm thinking back in the 70s, right? Yeah, so there you go.